It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
What? Yeah. Hey, my pretty babies. What is going on? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You're checking out for this Wednesday night of January 4th, 2023, an all-new The RCWR Show, episode number 993. One more time, because usually it's okay to say it. I have a golden rule in the Sanders household. The first week of the new year, it's okay for those that you come across in those first 7 days of the new calendar year. It's okay to say, hey, Happy New Year, all that. That's just my golden rule. I know some people extended week 2 going on week 3. Hell, some of you all even do it during the last week of the new calendar year. Some even do it in February. I don't know what's going on. Look, for me, first week, that's your opportunity. This sounds like a Seinfeld episode, doesn't it? It really does. But no, my golden rule after the first week is just, yeah, that's it. So one more time, I did say it Monday, but one more time, Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope your 2023 is kicking off to a fantastic start so far. And if it is not, it's still early. Hopefully around that corner, some good things is going to be happening. Hopefully 2023 will be your year. Good health and well wishes and everything to you and yours. Hey, I want to know what you thought about tonight's AEW Dynamite. So sound off. I do have a poll available on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. We'll take a look at those results later on during the broadcast. But sound off, cast your vote. Let me know what you thought about it and everything. We got a new AEW Dynamite intro. I'm wondering if we're going to get the same treatment for Rampage as well. I guess we'll have to tune in and find out this Friday and everything. And man, AEW, They are back with a vengeance, are they not? Tonight we got a nice jam-packed edition of Dynamite to kick off the new year for the AEW promotion. But then Friday we're going to be getting I believe that's a live Rampage too, a live Rampage, and I believe the Battle of the Belt special. Both of those are going down back to back beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern. So pretty much you got yourself a 2-hour block of AEW programming this Friday night, January 6th. That's pretty damn good, right? That is pretty damn good. We'll get into the card and all that later on. We had Wrestle Kingdom with the first half of their event. Now, I know that there was a lot of new Japan. Actually, let me back up a second, because what I wanted to say was new fans, but I know how I want to phrase that, because I wasn't trying to say new. I wasn't trying to go that route. But I know we had the Wrestle Kingdom 17 event, and there was a decent amount of people that had checked out that event because they wanted to see Sasha Banks, now going under the name Mercedes Moné. Nice debut that she had made and everything. It's funny because... And we came on here earlier this morning, and I had shared with you all my reactions to seeing her make her debut for New Japan and everything. And if you had missed out on that, it was earlier this morning. I think we came on live, for those of you that maybe were around in real time. I think we came on around 5 in the morning to react to it, because it pretty much went down maybe 10-15 minutes before we went live. So I pretty much was just trying to gather up some images after I saw what I had initially saw, gather up some images and everything. And I told you guys, man, I would like to show you all the footage, and it's nice to see Matthew from Botchamania and a few other people. They're like, yeah, look, well aware what happened at New Japan. Not going to share any other stuff, because unlike WWE and AEW, New Japan, man, they they go mafia on your ass. They take your ass out when it comes to they used to be more vicious in previous years, but now they're not as, I guess the best way you could describe it is they're not as dickish as they were in the past, because in the past they used to just be so quick to do a copyright strike, and now it's just copyright claim. But then even at that, do you really want to deal with the headache and all that? But yeah, there were a decent amount of people that are like, yeah, I ain't touching that. But we did manage to share Sasha Banks' New Japan debut on Twitter and on Facebook, and a lot of you guys just combining it were sharing your reactions and all of that. And see, here's the thing. You can tell who has checked out New Japan Pro Wrestling versus those who have not, because it was so hilarious. And I'm talking about within my own respected thread when I was sharing the clip and everything. You can tell because, and I did not just my thread, but I did look at other people's threads that were sharing some type of Sasha Banks footage, just to make sure I got my finger on the pulse of the overall reactions and everything. And you had a decent amount of people, and you know this. Remember this now. Remember this. If you learn anything from here tonight, and I respect those of you that don't give a damn about New Japan, you'll never give it the time of day, but at least there are those of you that's out there, okay, I know that how we perceive things, how we react to things, is not going to be the same overseas. And to my point, you know who's been checking out the New Japan promotion, because when you're seeing the comments from when Mercedes Moné came out, the crowd was kind of, a little bit quiet and everything. And the crowd did not start really reacting until they saw the Titantron image where, Mercedes has that trademark boss, brass knuckles, with the text and all that, on her little knuckles and everything. And then that's when everybody knew, oh, okay. And then when they actually saw her, there was a nice ovation and all of that. And, people that were commenting from the moment that she made her way down the ramp to getting in the ring, the crowd, it's so quiet. What the hell? As long as these people don't know who the hell, look at that. It went over like a wet fart. Crickets, all that shit, right? When, in fact, the New Japan crowd, they are not like a North American crowd. They are not like a Canada crowd. They are not like a Australian crowd, a UK crowd. They, for all these years, they have been a quiet crowd. They have always been that way. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get some claps here and there and everything, but for the longest time, they have not been a vocal crowd. Right down to the point, if you brush up on your New Japan Pro Wrestling news, recently, there was some new thing that the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling had wanted to experiment with. I don't know if it first went into effect with this Wrestle Kingdom or if it was the previous New Japan event. But I recall the president of New Japan say, okay, we're going to try something new here. We're going to allow fans to be able to share their reactions. They'll be able to cheer, jeer, all of that. And that was something that they really weren't able to do in previous years. And if there was an idea where, hey, let's maybe experiment with this, let's go ahead, let's do this, it pretty much was put on hold when COVID had came around. And as you all know, over there in Japan, the way that they treat COVID, they are much more than the United States for sure and everything, right? So you could tell who knows their thing about the New Japan crowd and all that, just right. So then you put that to the side. Okay, so that's strike one, right? Okay, you want to talk about the reactions, okay, whatever. Then you want to say, okay, so let's watch this. Let's see how this pans out and everything between Mercedes and Kari-san. Let's see how this plays out and everything. And then the next thing you know, everybody wants to rip it. I'm sure, unless you're under a rock all this time, you've been under a rock for all this time, and you don't know. But, Mercedes, she came on out there pretty much getting into the face of Kari-san, letting her know she wanted to challenge her for the IWGP Women's Heavyweight Championship. Kari-san pretty much accepting, going for the handshake and everything. And next thing you know, Sasha Banks takes a cheap shot, and she was trying to do this weird maneuver where she was trying to somehow put Kari on her back and then go for some type of, not a GTS, but it was some type of okay, this looks kind of interesting. And when I first saw it in real time, I'm going, I don't know exactly what she was looking for. I don't know exactly who dropped the ball on this one, and I definitely want to give a shout out to the person that had showed me this footage of the move. In fact, homegirl was trying to pull off and everything. Sasha Banks, that is, I'm talking about, that she was trying to pull off and everything. Because once you see the move, you're going, okay, well, if it connects, that's actually pretty damn good. And the best part I love about doing this right now for you guys, I can actually describe the move in question in real time for our audio listeners / visually impaired folks that's out there and everything. And let's see if I can find, I'm on the thread right now. I just gotta go in. Luckily it's not as bad. Here we go. Shout out to Lightning, because Lightning is really the person that had got the ball rolling by saying, I wonder what kind of move it was that she was trying to go for there. And I had responded to him saying, I don't know, but it seems maybe Kari didn't get the memo. There's going to be jitters without a doubt, but that's going to have to be shaken off real quick. Rough to watch, but that aside, a nice debut. Somebody else had commented on the botch later on, and I even said, yeah, you know what? Me personally, I would love for those girls to have that back so they could execute it the way that they were hoping to execute it. And shout out to Joey Jeff Baines via Twitter. He had shared in that thread a post, looks like it was initially from Steve Slam, and he's showing clear as day Mercedes Varnado looks like she's doing this move on is that Fuego? I don't know if that's Fuego or if that's Dragon Lee, but it's almost like she's getting ready to go for this. The way she puts her opponent on her back, you'd swear maybe she's going for some type of a torture rack, perhaps. But then it's a badass move, because what she ends up doing is she throws the person off of her back and then catches them around the head and plants them with a DDT. And it's pretty much in one motion, one fluid motion. Now, I know you guys are having a hard time picturing that, but just go on the Twitter thread. You don't need to have a Twitter account, and you can actually see the video in question, and you're going, okay, now that we know what she was trying to do, yeah, that's actually pretty badass. Would have loved to seen her pull that off and everything, but yeah, you had a bunch of people that, obviously these were people that did not order the pay-per-view whatsoever, but they heard about Mercedes. And look, let's be for real. You got a lot of people that are rubbed the wrong way by this girl. Some to this day are still even white hot over the fact and how she left the WWE, and they are entitled to feel the way that they feel and everything. I even saw some of the people that commented on our thread saying, man, I just can't get behind this girl. I'm still pretty hurt, honestly, by the way, as a fan, by the way that she conducted herself, her and Naomi, in the way that they conducted themselves and all that. And, and I get that, right? But when you get to a point, as I had said to this one person, and just when you look at the grand scheme of things as far as life in general goes, there's going to be times where we're working for an employer and we're just not feeling it, and we're going, you know what? Yeah, and you try to vent your concerns, your frustrations, and man, after it falls on so many deaf ears so many times, you ultimately just go, okay, you know what? I'm not being valued. I'm not being heard. I'm not being appreciated. I'm being made to feel as though my opinion doesn't matter. You're going to do what you got to do to go try out greener pastures elsewhere. That's not me defending Mercedes Renato, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. That's not me defending what she did. That's just me giving it to you guys right between the eyes, especially those of you that might be a little bit younger, right? That maybe, haven't gone through double-digit jobs to ultimately find your career path where you're like, yes, this is where my bread and butter is going to be. This is how I'm going to provide for myself and my family for many years to come. But that's the real world. That's how it operates sometimes and everything. It was funny even seeing some people had, it wasn't that many. I would say out of 100%, it was probably only about 2% of folks that actually came in, and they were trying to take some shots at me for what I had said in the thread. One person particularly had decided that apparently I was a mark, and I thought that was so funny because this person that's calling me a mark, you go on their Twitter profile and they are impersonating a well-known wrestler. And and it wasn't like they had created the account a month ago. I mean, they've been doing it for a while now, And I just thought that was so freaking hilarious. But here's what I said in question when I initially shared my thoughts on this debut. You can see it in black and white. I didn't edit my post in a way where, no, I pretty much, as I always tell you guys, before you hit the send, look at it. Okay, looks good. Okay, publish. Unlike some people, Skip Bayless. That's what I call a damn good debut. The wrestling community wins with this, as Sasha Banks will help elevate attention for the promotion she's working with, which will convert new fans. Win-win for all women's wrestling. And because of that entire comment that I made, I was called a mark, and I was called a few other things that I'm not going to share with you guys. But I'm like, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, oh, okay, these people that were responding so negatively to what I had said, find me somewhere in there where I'm lying. Find me somewhere in there where no, you're misconstruing, no, you are wrong on so many levels, because let's be for real. Let's really keep this 100 right now. And I've been at this for so many years doing this show. When it comes to women's wrestling, particularly, whether you men out there and some women want to admit it or not, the majority of the male demographics don't give a flying you-know-what about women's wrestling. Yeah, they'll tolerate whatever from the WWE, and yeah, they'll drink that Becky Lynch Kool-Aid for a hot minute. They'll drink the Bailey. They'll drink this. They'll drink that. But eventually, they turn on those respected women. It's boring. It's crap. And all of that. And then you got those that just flat out, and that's their respected right, they just don't give a damn about the women's division, period. They're only interested in seeing what's going on with the men. Plain and simple. I have been on the air long enough to, right, as a perfect example, whenever I religiously had covered the Shine promotion back in the day, right down to the point, we used to have Chastity Taylor. Shout out to her. I know she's been married for a couple of years now, and it seems that, she's quietly seems like she's kind of moved on. She's out of the wrestling game and all that, but she was pretty good when she was in it for what it was worth and everything. But I remember when I was covering the Shine Wrestling promotion on a monthly basis, because they would do an event guaranteed once a month. And at times I would have Chastity come onto the show. We'd go over the card, talk about, hey, what's going on with this match? Why should folks got to go out of their way to check this out? All of that. Used to interview some of the Shine women's wrestlers as well. There was barely buzz. The only people that gave a damn about the Shine Wrestling promotion were those that were actually faithfully checking it out. Much like all these years that we've been covering the WOW Women of Wrestling promotion. I remember being on top of that, putting over particularly Kiera Hogan, long before what you've been seeing happening with her in AEW and all that, and Impact, long before all of that. I was on top of, hey, and I was telling people, yo, y'all sleeping on Kiera Hogan. I'm telling you, she's going to be the next breakout star. She's been able to breathe a lot more, develop a character, and while we're in wrestling, y'all need to peep this girl out. Telling y'all, she's up to some good stuff over here. Just wait and see. I was already ahead of the curve as far as, y'all need to check this woman out. Y'all need to check that woman out and all that. That's not me dick sucking. That's me trying to tell you, you want to jump on this while it's early here, because this going to be some hot stuff and a hot little bit. Majority of people didn't care. Majority of the people did not care. But within recent years, we have seen more interest, particularly into women's wrestling. That Stardom, for example, within the past 18 months, they have picked up so much steam that it's not even funny. I mean, I remember when I was doing my moderating duties in one of many Discord servers. I stopped them all at the beginning of this year. I just, eyesight-wise, not really doing too good. All that strain and then also the anxiety that comes with, always staying on top of social media. And I just, so I haven't totally just, I haven't done a, fuck you, I'll never pop up in the servers again. It's just kind of one of those, I just need a break. I gotta, I'm like, those that I did befriend, if they have my number and all that, and I would think if they do consider me a friend, they know how to pick up a phone and they know how to send a brother a text message and all that, because I'm not going to be popping in there like that. Same thing with forums too. I dumped a lot of forums that I was a moderator for and everything. But I remember right before I stopped, doing all of those responsibilities, I was noticing more and more people that were talking about Stardom. I was noticing more and more people that were getting behind the women's division in AEW. Noticing more and more people talk about the women's division in Impact Wrestling. Noticing more and more people feeling rejuvenated, feeling for the first time in many, many years that as far as the women's division goes in the WWE, that it's in a much better place now with the new people that are in charge of it and everything. And it's really a great time to be a wrestling fan right now, especially if you are truly a supporter of all things women's wrestling and everything. So when I say, hey, what Sasha Banks is doing here, it's a win-win. It's a win for the fans. It's a win for particularly the women's wrestling division, as a whole, because now it's going to have other companies thrive. Go back. Look at some of those stories that was put out there last year when Ruby Soho had became available. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we talked about it here on the show several weeks back. But apparently, David McLean of WOW, Women of Wrestling, Glow Wrestling, and everything, he had put some feelers out. He actually was trying to see about getting Ruby Soho involved with Women of Wrestling. And for whatever respected reason, things had fell apart. They also had tried to make a play for the Iconics, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. But unfortunately, that was another situation where, it only went but so far. And look, I would not be surprised if at this point, if potentially, David McLean and crew tried to make a play for Mandy Rose. I would not be surprised. Now, before anybody jumps out there and they say, oh, no, showing the boobies and doing this and doing that, need I remind you that it wasn't that long ago, it's been some time, but it wasn't that long ago that WOW co-owner and executive producer Jeannie Buss did pose for Playboy. So if the only thing that Mandy Rose is guilty of is basically showing the goods and she's not doing any type of penetration, I wouldn't just laugh off Mandy Rose possibly doing something with Women of Wrestling. But you get the point that I'm making right now, right? If it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, some of these women that you're looking at like a Charlotte Flair or insert whatever name and you're going, yeah, there's no chance in hell these girls would ever have anything to do with these other promotions over here. Now, here in 2023 and beyond, anything is possible. Anything can truly happen. It's just kind of one of those wait and see approaches and everything, right? But convince me otherwise. I would look at this no different, no matter how you may feel. Whether you feel that she is overhyped, overrated, no matter how you may feel, one thing that you cannot deny is she knows how to make news. In the least littlest thing, she knows how to make news. Add that on top of the ventures that she's broken into, non-wrestling related. You're looking at The Mandalorian and other stuff, doing a little bit of modeling here and there and everything. She knows how to make news. Convince me otherwise. Convince everybody else that might be thinking that same way when it's all said and done. So, looks like Sasha Banks is going to be challenging Kairi Sane for that IWGP Women's Championship. That's going to be going down in February. I think it's going to be February the 18th, I believe. Let me actually look at I might be able to tell you guys. If you bear with me, I might be able to tell you the next event, because we talked about it at great length when I was reacting to the Sasha Banks news. It's sometime in February. I'll remind you guys as it gets a little bit closer, but it's sometime in February. But Wrestle Kingdom 17, they did the first half of their event. The second half, for those of you that are not aware, second half of Wrestle Kingdom 17 is going to be going down on January 21st. So you got about 2 weeks, almost a half. That's a Monday morning, by the way. That is a Monday morning of January. Actually, no. That is Saturday. That's a Saturday for you guys. So you all got about 2 weeks to go before that second half picks up and everything. I did not watch Wrestle Kingdom 17 just yet. I actually was busy with some personal stuff. I will actually be watching that this weekend. I did see a couple of highlights out there. This was a rather lengthy card. I know that there were definitely a lot of people that honestly enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom. There are those that I had private message to pick their brain and everything. I spoke to quite a few different people, all not related to one another, are not friends with one another, and the overwhelming response that I received was, yo, this was actually pretty damn good. Not just saying that. 12 matches total for this card. One complaint that was shared universally, God, pretty fucking long. That's the one, especially given the fact that it's during a work week and everything. You know, it'd be one thing if you're in the weekend, right? Or, hey, man, what better way to kick off the new year than, yeah, man, we're celebrating New Year's Day with, and I get that. I totally get that and everything. But some interesting notes. I'm not going to go over the full card because, again, I didn't watch the entire event. Just some key matches I do want to focus on. Kenny Omega defeating Will Osprey to become the new IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion. That's pretty, I think that is definitely very significant right there. And that lets you know without a shadow of doubt that to some extent AEW and New Japan are going to continue to have a relationship with one another. I know there was a little bit of legit concern among some wrestling fans, some AEW New Japan fans, but yeah, what's going on here? Especially with WWE and in the mix and everything, what exactly should there be concern and everything? So to see that Kenny Omega was able to walk away as the new IWGP United States champion, you know, if that does not reassure you that everything is still good between AEW and New Japan, I don't know what to tell you, especially after Tony Khan had said when it came to Forbidden Door and everything leading up to it that they and New Japan, you know, very healthy relationship, that they are going to be partnered up together for quite some time and everything. Look, not for nothing, but Will Osprey, he had that IWGP United States Championship for what, y'all? He had it for at least almost 215 days or whatnot. I mean, it definitely passed 200 days. He had it for a good minute because he won it at last year's Dominion back in June. That's how long he had it. So, you know, and that was Will Ospreay's one and only reign. Meanwhile, for Kenny Omega, this is his second reign as the IWGP U.S. champion. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that in the weeks to come. So, an interesting note right there. Okada defeating Jay White to become the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. I know a lot of people are ecstatic with this because I know that there was a decent amount of women that enjoy them some Jay White. They like them some Switchblade Jay White and everything. I get that. I get that respectfully. Actually, I don't get that. I just respect it. I just respect that. But no, in all seriousness, Jay White. Isn't it interesting that Jay White and what was the other name that I just mentioned to you guys? Will Osprey. Isn't it interesting that both respected men had won their respected titles at June's Dominion, and their reigns end at the exact, that much I do know. I might be off with the number as far as the total reign days, but one thing I do know for certain is that what Will Osprey, his number of days reigning as the U.S. champion is the same number that Jay White had when he got the title last year and everything, when he got the IWGP heavyweight title last year at Dominion. I just find it so, wow, that's so poetic that their respective reigns ended during this first half of Wrestle Kingdom and everything. But Jay White was pushing it definitely for over 200 days as well. Look, a decent amount of people, including myself, honestly felt, Jay White, nah, man, nah. And, a few times I've poked my head in there, checking out what's been going on with New Japan and everything. My whole thing, nah, man, let's go with Kota Ibushi or Okada or fuck, give me Tanahashi. Give me any and everybody. Like, hell, you can even give me Will Osprey. Like, I never was really behind Jay White, and just to see the way that Jay White was utilized in AEW. I mean, it's so funny when you go back and you think about it in retrospect. It's like, if I were to tell you that the few times that Jay White popped up on AEW programming, that he was the New Japan, IWGP heavyweight champion, you'd go, huh, what? Right? And like, seriously, and when I was talking to some of my friends about it, because they were watching the event, I told them straight up, I said, dudes, I had no clue that Jay White was still the IWGP heavyweight champion. Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, like, he's had it all this time. He's like, and he's just now, like, yeah, like, okay, interesting. So you got that development there. There was something going on there with FTR, by the way. FTR, it looks like they lost the IWGP tag team titles. They lost them to Goto and Hashi. So, yeah, I get people's concerns about FTR too, by the way, because a lot of people are seeing all these titles that FTR is dropping left and right, and they can't help but wonder, okay, is it possible that maybe FTR is just dropping all these damn titles potentially because maybe they're going to be going back to the WWE? And you got conspiracy theorists that's out there who feel maybe it's going to be FTR that will ultimately dethrone the Usos. Maybe it'll culminate at WrestleMania, and right. So I get where people are coming from on this. Right down to the point. Right before we went on the air, I actually went online to see, okay, well, is there any tag titles that these guys are currently holding on to that maybe I'm not aware of? And by the looks of it, because normally, you get current or whatever, the way it's looking right now, no. Unless I'm wrong, you guys can definitely correct me, be it live or on demand, and I'll definitely give you the respected credit and everything. But the way it's looking right now, they're not holding on to any tag titles right now. I mean, I get that and why people are looking at it that way. Another way that you could potentially look at it is maybe FTR is not going anywhere. It's just a case where they've ran at it pretty hard and they just want to kind of slow down a little bit, enjoy some R&R, catch up with the family, and then maybe, you could honestly make that argument as well. I'm very curious to hear. I don't know if it's going to be tackled on the second episode of the FTR podcast, which, look, they did a good job with that first episode, Dax and my friend in Matt Coon. They did a good job with that. I know it got a lot of people talking, contrary to the belief of the reports that's being put out there about, oh, there's a lot of people that don't like this podcast. Oh, it's not going to last that long. I honestly do believe that it's only a very small vocal group of people that are not a fan of the podcast, whether that be EVPs. Your guess is as good as mine, but I would not be surprised if it was the EVPs. But I don't see that podcast going anywhere. The only way I see that podcast being over and done with is maybe FTR does appear in WWE, right? But then again, Bruce Pritchard is still able to do his thing, right? He's still able to do his show. I'm trying to remember if Jeff Jarrett was still able to do his show. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett was still able to do his show when he was working with the WWE. So there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air right now in regards to that. I'll talk a lot more Wrestle Kingdom once I've actually sat down, watched it. I'll probably do some quick thoughts maybe this weekend on the event overall. I know a lot of people were pretty long-winded with their review. Shout out to those that did watch all of that and then have the nerve to immediately do a post-show, or they decided to do a post-show later that afternoon or whatnot, because that's a lot, because you're talking at least, man, it's been a while since I watched a New Japan event, but I remember particularly when it came to Wrestle Kingdom, I think that was like at least 5 hours or something like that. I know they do one long-ass intermission, do they not? Yeah, they do one long-ass intermission. All right, so that's that. AEW Dark. I do see the card for this week's AEW Dark. Check this out. You got Dark Order's John Silver. Long John Silver and Alex Reynolds taking on Axton Ray and Blanco Loco. Christopher Daniels one-on-one against Brian Pillman Jr. Meanwhile, Sonny Kiss and Jeeves K face Ryzen and Cameron Stewart. Ryan Nemeth goes toe-to-toe with Dak Draper. Emi Sakura faces Jada Stone. Jora Joel takes on Jarrett Diaz. Meanwhile, Kiera Hogan going up against Casey Lennox. Leon Ruffin faces Ari Daivari. Varsity Athletes, Josh Woods, Tony Nese, taking on the team of Liam Gray and Adrian Alanis. Meanwhile, Rohit Raju faces Richard Adonis. Blake Christian took on Sheen Maluda. Sean Dean faced Ariel Dominguez. Top Flight in tag team action against the Workhorsemen. That's the card for this week's AEW Dark for January 3rd of 2023. By the way, I think there is potentially 2, maybe 3 sets more TV tapings or YouTube tapings for Dark and Dark Elevation. Because if you guys recall, I think it was last week or the week before, I remember being here on the air with you guys, giving you all a heads up that AEW had taped a lot of those Dark shows. And I told you all straight up, just going into the match card, we would have been sitting there for 10 minutes going through all the matches. So I would imagine we're probably going to get 2 to 3 more tapings, and then, I guess at that point we'll pretty much be caught up in real time. Now, one thing I want to do before we do get ready to talk about Dynamite, I do want to show some love to those that had cast their vote to give you guys a better idea. Just a slight little tingling little sensation of what some people felt about Wrestle Kingdom. I'm looking at the polling results here, and got about 8 hours left between Twitter and on YouTube. But I gave you guys that voted on this respective poll 4 options. Gave you guys the following. Twitter, I'm seeing a tie at 16%. Half of you are staying in the middle there, while the other half of you saw New Japan Pro Wrestling for Sasha Banks, and now you're a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan. So those are your 2 ties right there. Meanwhile, 25% gave Wrestle Kingdom a thumbs down. And top lead right now, 41% giving Wrestle Kingdom 17 an overall thumbs up. Meanwhile, to YouTube we go now, youtube.com/the RCWR show. click on the communities tab and you can cast your vote that way. Thanks in advance, by the way, to everybody that had casted their vote. Love seeing those interactions from you guys. I am seeing same options here. 7% of you are staying in the middle. 21% of you watch New Japan because of Sasha Banks, and you're now a fan of New Japan as a result. 29% of you are being honest when you say thumbs down for the event overall. And top dog, 43% of you gave Wrestle Kingdom a thumbs up. Again, 43% of you gave Wrestle Kingdom a thumbs up. To those of you all that voted, appreciate you all. If you still want to let your voices be heard and you're slowly making your way to checking out Wrestle Kingdom, I know for Twitter, the poll is going to be up for another 8 hours, but the YouTube poll, that never expires. So go ahead and, unless there's some serious traction between now and maybe going into the weekend when I do get ready to do the actual review for Wrestle Kingdom, I'll go back to the polling one more time. But if you want to vote, go ahead. Don't have to spam out on both of those. Just pick one, stay with it, and all that good jazz. So that's that. Let's talk about tonight's AEW Dynamite. A lot of folks were wondering if it was even remotely possible that Mercedes Moné was going to be making her AEW debut. I thought about it. I even put out a tweet. I said, because I was curious, how long would it take for somebody to travel from Japan to the United States, like nonstop? And I did some research, and pretty much it was, there's one airline carrier that'll do that, and it'll take 11 hours. So I'm looking at that, and I'm going, well, is it even remotely possible that Mercedes could really get things popping and appear in AEW? All right, we'll find out. No Mercedes in AEW. I know probably the main selling point that was on the minds of a lot of people within the past few weeks was maybe Saraya's mystery tag partner was going to be Mercedes. No, wasn't the case at all. To the point, we had saw Saraya be interviewed by Tony. Was it Tony Schiavone or was it Renee Paquette? I can't recall. Probably Renee. Wouldn't be surprised if it was Renee. And this pretty much came several segments after Schiavone had interviewed Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, and they pretty much were reiterating the fact that, seriously, don't really know who's going to try to tag with Saraya, and you know what, she can come in here and say it's her house. It really isn't anymore, because Jamie Hayter is the one holding the title and everything, and so they pretty much were just more of the same fluff that we've been seeing the past couple of weeks, just hyping up, building up this match that's going to be going down next Wednesday and everything, this tag match. But they showed no concern about whoever Saraya was going to get as a tag partner and everything. So rather than just kind of let that sit as it is and just have fans' minds run rampant, we then see later on in the night, I think it was Renee, but I'm not sure, but there was an interview between Saraya, Tony Storm, and Shida. And long story short, Saraya says to Tony Storm, hey, look, I would be greatly honored if you'd be my tag partner going up against Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And Tony Storm's pretty excited. She's like, yeah, girl, let's go ahead. Let's do this. Let's kick their asses. Meanwhile, you see a visibly upset Shida. Shida looks beyond perturbed. And you're looking at that and you can't help but wonder, man, obviously that doesn't sit well with Shida, but how so? How so does it not sit well with her? Is it to a point where maybe she will be the one that potentially inadvertently causes Saraya and Tony Storm a victory over Britt and Jamie? Or is it literally going to be a case where, Shida just kind of flips, and it's not a turn. I want to make sure that I stress that. It's not a heel turn or anything like that. But maybe Shida just basically, yo, I'm tired of the disrespect. I'm tired of feeling as though I'm overlooked. You know, I bust my ass. I every single time I go in this ring, I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in my heart, my soul. I'm putting it all out there on the line, and I'm continuing to get disrespected. Well, you know, no more, right? You know, is that potentially what's in the cards here for Shida? I mean, if that's a story that you're ultimately going to tell with Shida, and essentially the next feud that Saraya is going to be embarking in is going to be Shida, while you do a little detour there from Britt Baker and everything, I would be okay with that. I'm not really sure how you guys personally feel, but I would be okay with that. I hope they don't go in a direction where it seems as though, okay, everything's loaded up, and then somebody attacks Toni Storm, and she's unfortunately not able to do the match. Shida slides in there, and then some weeks go by, and turns out Shida was the one, so now you got Toni and Shida. I really hope we're not going to go in that direction, because that would just be kind of lame as fuck, right? But for all intents and purposes, the way it's looking right now, no Mercedes Moné. Let me make sure I clarify. No Mercedes Moné involved in that tag match. But I know there are some of you guys that's holding out. She's going to be making some type of an appearance for AEW programming very, very, very soon. We shall see. We shall see in regards to that. I don't know what's going on. I got to check my Apple account, but every time I turn around, I keep being charged $5. And it's so fucking weird. I don't know what's going on with that. I know what I recently purchased, and it's like, yeah, why you guys keep what's going on here? Anyway, I'm a little sidetracked. Forgive me there. So you had that development that went down. Love the way Dynamite kicked off there with Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks, their one-on-one matchup. Good way to open up the show. You just gotta have all the people out there singing the little Judas song, do you not? You just gotta have them all out there doing that. You have to. But no, that to the side. This was a fantastic opener to Dynamite kicking off the new year. By the way, I haven't even talked about it yet. Besides the new intro, the stage setup looks pretty good. From what I had saw, it's actually a pretty good setup. New year, new production set, and all that. It looks good. It seems like they got more space, a little bit more room, as it came to us from the Climate Pledge Arena out there in Seattle, Washington. We'll talk more about it in a hot little bit. But what a great hero's welcome of a return home there for Bryan Danielson. More on that in a hot little bit there, but. Nice match. I gotta say, I was quite surprised that Ricky Starks was able to get the win on Jericho. I thought for sure this was a done deal, and Jericho, even when we saw two of the Jericho Appreciation Society members interfere there and everything, you're going, oh yeah, this is definitely, and then to see Ricky Starks kick out, and you're going, whoa, okay, what the hell? Nice surprise. Nice storytelling that they did, and having Ricky Starks come out defying such great odds, as the odds were definitely stacked up against him, and to get in a pretty big win on a former multi-time champion, that's some good shit right there. That's the way you want to try to build up a future breakout main event star and everything in Ricky Starks, who definitely has the skills. He's got the talent and then some. He's really been stepping his game up within recent weeks, and dare I say, yeah, he probably will have the most significant breakout year of 2023 as far as predictions go and everything. Post-match beatdown on Ricky Starks by the rest of the society guys, as Menard, Cool Hand Luke, Sammy G, Tay Conti getting involved in everything. Action Andrade coming out there for the save. Anna Jay and Tay Mello, they come in with a low blow. And then there's a continuation of the beatdown on everybody. Starks gets power bombed off the apron through a table. So numbers game, definitely much too much. Right there, much too much. Yeah, you can't. You look at that. You're trying to. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and on the one hand, that's great that we have Ricky Starks. He's now working, if you will, with Jericho and all them. But obviously, this is a numbers game. This is a numbers game. So what happens here? Obviously, FTR. I'm just throwing names out there, but obviously FTR is not. What about Miro? Does Miro maybe, is this enough of a carrot to dangle over Miro's head and hey, here's something that's really fun. Here's something that can get really creative with here. Is this maybe something where Miro can slide in? Or what about the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer? We haven't seen him in a good minute. This is maybe something he slides into. Or it doesn't seem like Powerhouse Hobbs. We can pretty much forget about that right now. Definitely, right? All things considered, right? We can definitely forget about that for some of you guys that's thinking about Powerhouse Hobbs. We can forget about that. But do you maybe slide in? I'm just looking at the landscape right now. I mean, you've still got that built-in history between Eddie Kingston and Sammy G. Do you maybe throw Eddie in there, and then in the process it's Eddie and Ortiz? But then also remember at the same time, you've got that tease that had went down some weeks back by House of Black. Remember that cryptic message that they had put out there to Ortiz and Kingston, and we have yet to see that continue its development and all. I mean, we were getting ready to go right into the big bulk of the holidays and everything. So, but that's still up in the air to my whole point. So, I'm very curious to see where Tony Khan and crew go with this one. I think we all could be in agreement, though. We don't need to see Wardlow be sandwiched in there. Wardlow just needs to be chilling. Let him, But I have this weird feeling Wardlow might be somebody that gets. I hope I'm wrong. Sincerely, I hope I'm wrong. Heyman Page making an appearance. Unfortunately, he's still not ready to go. He's got one more round of tests that he needs to do to get cleared so that he can face Moxley next week, one-on-one. Pretty much Moxley coming out there, egging him on. Tired of seeing Heyman come out there playing the victim card, trying to get the sympathy card. Having a little bit of mic technical difficulties. It happens. It freaking happens to the best of the best there. But pretty much these two guys were out there just hyping up what's going to be going down next week. They didn't get physical. There's just a little bit of trash talking going on from both men. Honestly, I could have done without it. Probably one of the weakest things. I know that's probably something weird to hear from me, especially when it involves Moxley there, but it did nothing for me whatsoever. Honestly, nothing for me. Tag team title match. Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal taking on the Acclaimed. Here's the thing. You had so many cooks in the kitchen on this matchup that it wasn't even funny. But where this match really shined was the false finish, because the way this ended, you pretty much had Anthony Bowens in the ring with Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal bouncing off of the ropes, trying to go for the lethal injection. Anthony Bowens with an elbow to the back. Jeff Jarrett come from behind Bowens, hits him with the stroke. Jay Lethal going for the cover. And 1, 2, and then Bowens managed to put his boot up on the ropes, but Sanjay Dutt pretty much pushes it off. Referee's not able to see this. Boom. That's it. Oh, my God. We've got new AEW Tag Team Champions. And it was in that moment, I felt like I was having the Fred Sanford, you hear that, Elizabeth? I was having one of those moments, because it felt as though I was going to have to eat a big old pie, a big old slice of that humble pie, because there was a decent amount of people. I hear it on the 401 Mania forums when I'm doing Rampage live coverage and everything, and folks are like, "You just watch, you just watch." You're gonna eat your words, Lee. You're gonna eat your words. You just watch, fucking watch. Jeff Jarrett's gonna fuck it all up. Just watch, he's gonna fuck it all up. And I'm going, you're over analyzing, you're overreacting, nothing. And in that moment, I literally felt my heart drop into my stomach. And all I'm just picturing is, it's my world. I'm picturing all of that. And then lo and behold, referee Aubrey Edwards just comes from out of nowhere. And she's talking to one referee. And it's like, they're getting ready to reverse it. Sure enough, they reversed it. Like, match has to continue. You're like, okay, all right, cool. And next thing you know, I'm trying to think what happened after that. Bowens was still the legal man. Lethal was still legal as well. I remember the final sequence, there was a roll-up. Jay Lethal tried to get a roll-up. Bowens reversed it. 1, 2, 3. Bowens retained their titles. So, Acclaim, still your AEW Tag Champions. The match, I honestly, what was a major turnoff for me, I don't know about you guys, but what was a major turnoff for me about the match, so much shenanigans that was going on from Satnam Singh and then from, what's his name? Sanjay Dutt. He had all these referees, and I didn't particularly care for all of that. I just felt that was like mad fucking overkill. The swerve that they did, though, that was definitely a nice touch. Definitely got to give it that. It was really a nice touch. I still, despite how some people may feel about Jeff Jarrett, I still think this is one of the best things that's going on right now for the Acclaimed in working with such veterans in Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I still think it's one of the best things. I wasn't even going to talk about this until later, but while I'm still thinking, it just literally popped up in my head. Ric Flair. I think this is so hilarious. A majority of the Impact Wrestling roster popped up on that Ric Flair's last match pay-per-view event or whatever, as you guys recall. So apparently Impact Wrestling, I guess as part of the deal or what have you, if you now go on Impact Plus, you got your little Impact Plus subscription, apparently the Ric Flair last match, the whole event itself, is available for Impact Plus members. So for those of you that did not get a chance to watch that, I hope you enjoy. I'm trying to say that. Try saying that with a straight face, man. And those of us that actually watch that shit. Yeah. Anyway. Bryan Danielson getting a hometown reaction, taking on Tony Nese. Good for what it was worth. I love seeing that crowd. And look, I don't know if Tony Nese, Smart Mark Sterling, and Danielson, I don't know if they had called an audible here or what. But this was almost like a WWE ovation that Danielson had got. It was so fucking magical. It was badass. That was probably one of the main highlights of tonight, was seeing that Seattle crowd and the way they reacted to Danielson. I ate it up. I absolutely fucking loved it. And it was definitely, it felt like one of those situations where, all right, if we don't nip this in the bud now, this is going to get much, much out of control. And so you see Smart Mark Sterling, I think he's like grabbing on the boots of Danielson or something. Danielson is distracted. Nese turns right around. Cole clocks him from behind. And that pretty much shut the crowd up. Great touch. It was a great fucking touch. Good audible. I don't know if they were expecting that. If they weren't, and that's the audible that they went with, that was actually pretty damn smart. Regal stretch. pretty much ending this one. This was a short match. I mean, Tony Nese looked pretty promising on the offense, but once Danielson got on the rebound there, this match was pretty much over. It was about barely 3 minutes. I hate to say a squash match, but for all intents and purposes, that's pretty much what it was. Post-match, Danielson feeling frisky, feeling like he wants some more action, calls out MJF. MJF comes on out there, and MJF's like, yo, I don't care what you want. We're going to do things on my time. Don't care about you one little bit. He did have one good zinger, which was if Lance Storm and Dean Malenko could procreate, it would be more interesting charismatic-wise than Bryan Danielson. And this led to MJF mocking Danielson's mother for having relations with a goat. And then Danielson, very quick-witted, coming right back. Hey, I heard that your mother had enough male suitors to fill up this whole arena. You're like, oh, no, he didn't. And so you got Bryan Danielson. You, sir, there. Yes, you. Did you have relations there? Were you a male suitor for MJF's mom? And that was some good zangy shit right there. I loved it. So the real meat and potatoes of what went down here, MJF talking to Tony Khan agreeing that if Bryan Danielson is successfully able to string together a win every single week from now until February 8th, then Danielson will get a title shot against MJF at Revolution. Danielson, okay, well, if we're going to do this, all right, well, then I need to be able to say the stipulation for our match. MJF, yeah, sure, bud, whatever. Go ahead, whatever rocks your boat. Danielson's like, well, it's easy. We got to do this in a way where you're definitely going to be exposed. I don't need to worry about any disqualifications and all that because I see how you like to operate, but I'm going to expose you for the hypocrite that you are. I'm going to expose you for the flaws that I know you have. 1 hour Iron Man match. MJF, pretty fucking reluctant eventually. Yeah, whatever, but let's see what happens with these wins that you're going to get. And we already know one of the first matchups that's going to be going down for Danielson next week. Talk more about that in a hot second. AR Fox going up against Swerve Strickland. Swerve picking up the W. These two worked pretty well. They went about almost 10 minutes. Worked pretty damn well together. Good match. Fox looked extremely good in defeat. And we got to keep in the back of our mind, remember, AR Fox and Top Flight, they won that little money thing. And we still don't know what's going on with them in the money thing. Like, we need to go back to that. Like, we have them win this money, and we leave it alone. Like, we got to follow that up. We got to see where that, right? Am I the only one that still remembers that? Come on now. Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, taking on Sky Blue, Kiera Hogan. 6 minutes and change. Kiera Hogan, Sky Blue losing there. So, I don't know what's going on here. It's a little bit bipolar because we've seen Jade Cargill obviously have these little, what's the right word I'm looking for here? Obviously, she's having these, girl, we need to talk. That's the best way I can sum it up. There's obviously an issue between Jade and Red Velvet. Jade has already tried whatever's going on with you. You need to squash it. Velvet is still, and I'm looking at this and I just can't help but go, damn, how many more times are you going to team with this girl who now, when you look at what went down tonight, almost cost you your undefeated streak? Yeah, tag match, but an undefeated streak is an undefeated streak when it's all said and done. So it's like, surely you're not going to do the tag team again with this woman. Surely you're going to sit down, get to the heart of the matter, find out what the fuck is going on. What is your infatuation? Why keep a person around like this? if they're going to be that much of a threat to you, you're right. Why would you not? Let me just do what I did with Kiera Hogan, and let me have Smart Mark Sterling somehow. It'd be one thing if you were to tell me, well, they tried that, Lee, and Red Velvet saw what happened firsthand there with Kiera Hogan, and she's playing it smart, right? Or it's a weird position that Tony Khan and crew have put themselves in right here, but having Jade Cargill almost kind of come off a little bipolar here, a memory of Swiss cheese, I'm not really a fan of that. Furthermore, the commentators, I feel, really didn't do a good job in really bringing it home that, man, can Jay Cargill really trust Red Velvet? Because it seems like they've been having some serious miscommunication issues these past several weeks, from what we've been seeing here. I think Jade's got a lot more to worry about than the girls that she's wrestling across the way. She's got to be concerned about who her tag partner is here. Yeah, but more of the same from Jade Cargill. I'm curious to see where this is going. I'm very curious to see where this is going. TNT Championship match. Samoa Joe, Darby Allin, the hometown boy, back in his backyard there. Darby Allin defeating Samoa Joe to win the TNT Championship. About 8 minutes and some change. Nice action from the moment that Samoa Joe came out. You thinking Samoa Joe's going to be able to walk on down the ramp, do his little traditional? Nah, man. Darby Allin just freaking clocked Samoa Joe from behind. That's the way that you want to start this. That is exactly the way that you want to start this. Well, fun match. Fun match. Good pacing. Love the bumping. I love the great showing that Joe had in there. And you know what? Look, you got to give the people what they want. I thought it was a nice touch that they went with the hometown hero there and Darby Allin and everything. Now, some people can look at this, though, and some people can say, man, we did all this, but Wardlow, man, what the hell? What about Wardlow? Tony Khan and crew, they put themselves in a very interesting position right here, have they not? They put themselves in a very interesting position here. It really has me concerned about Wardlow. We saw this great trajectory. It seemed like this guy was on the first half of 2022, and they fucked it up. And they've been trying to get back to good ever since and everything, and now, what does Wardlow maybe slide? I'm now more and more convinced that maybe Wardlow does slide in there with Ricky Starks and them. Maybe he does slide into that thing with the Jericho Society. Maybe he does. God, I hope I'm wrong, but it's I really, really hope I'm wrong. Solid show. Main event, high mark. Definitely the high mark. Looking at the rest of the card here. Starks and Jericho, pretty damn good. Jericho, Starks, pretty good. Acclaim, Jarrett, Lethal, also pretty good as well for what it was worth. Swerve and AR Fox, too, was actually, honestly, looking at this whole card, the one match I honestly could have done without. The women's joint. I honestly could have done without the women's joint. Now, the card coming up for this Friday's Rampage. Let's get into that because it looks pretty damn good. Here's what you guys got. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson are going to take on Top Flight. House of Black is scheduled to make an appearance. Preston Vance, a.k.a. 10, formerly of the Dark Order, he's going to be in action. Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker are going to be in a tag match against the Renegade Sisters. That's going to be on this Friday's Rampage. Also, don't forget we got Battle of the Belts. Acclaimed will be taking on Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett for the tag titles in a no-holds-barred match. Jade Cargill defends the TBS Championship against Sky Blue. Orange Cassidy defends the AEW All-Atlantic Championship against Kip Sabian. Samoa Joe, actually, no, we already did that. Yeah, we just did that match. Sorry. So that's what all you got coming up. And then on next week's Dynamite, Moxley versus Page. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter team up to take on Toni Storm and Saraya. Bryan Danielson takes on Takesha. That should be a fantastic fucking match. Big Will and Lee Moriarty take on Jungle Hook. And you've got the best match 7, best of 7 series. The conclusion, Death Triangle taking on the Elite. This is it. This is for all the marbles. So that's what all is going to be going down over the next several days, man. So should be pretty solid. Other than that, as far as other wrestling-related news goes, been relatively quiet. When it's all said and done, still the new year, a lot of New Year's hangover, a lot of, enough wrestling news to sink your teeth into for now, though. It's been relatively quiet otherwise, other than what's been going on there with Sasha Banks, Wrestle Kingdom, the Damar Hamlin situation. It was weird when we were online Monday and we were reacting to that news and everything. I'm well aware of the Undisputed episode that came on, what was it, Tuesday, and seeing Skip Bayless try to, I'm aware of Shannon Sharp passing on that, and did not look good today when the show opened up and Shannon was trying to explain his noted absence from the Tuesday show and everything, and boy, did that get tense real fucking quick. But in regards to the Damar Hamlin situation, looks as though he is I'm looking at an update as of 28 minutes ago. His condition has improved. I've tried to look not as much, not to drive myself crazy and all of that, but the way it's looking right now, there is machinery that's feeding him oxygen and fluids, but I'm looking here. Yeah, it looks like the family is still asking for support. Seems like his condition, as far as recovering from the cardiac arrest episode that he had, it's continuing to move in a more positive direction. Everybody involved, including the family, continue to remain optimistic, but nobody's really trying to go into further details. The Bills did say that Hamlin was still, here's the thing that you really want to focus on here. Hamlin was still in critical condition, but he did display signs of improvement. They said he was expected to remain in intensive care. So that's the last thing that's going on right now. So keep that young brother in your thoughts and prayers. And I didn't get a chance to mention this publicly, but when I found out about it, my heart definitely had ached for her. I definitely know what it's like to go through loss, particularly among immediate members of the family and everything. And I want to definitely send a shout out to my friend Trez. Trez co-hosts Castle Chronicles with my friend and Kevin Castle. And Trez had took an extended leave of absence as her father had passed away. So she definitely went into the holiday season, and my heart definitely goes out to her. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of it that, make your rounds, checking out other shows, but definitely if you haven't, definitely send her best thoughts and wishes as well. Thinking about you, Trez. But yeah, so look, as far as programming notes go, not that much. Not that much is going down. Tams is like, when are we doing a wrestling with the topics? I'm going, whenever you're ready. So we're going to be sitting down Thursday night after I get in from work, and we're going to be pre-recording to release this weekend. I am back on the saddle with the WoW recaps. I know 1 week WoW did a best of thing with the Beast, so that kind of really doesn't count. But this past weekend there was a new episode, so we'll definitely get into that. So I'm thinking what I'll probably end up doing is I will just do a recap from this past weekend's episode, and then that way when the new episode drops this weekend, put another one out and we'll be all caught up. So we'll probably do a double whammy of WoW coverage this weekend. But other than that, Monday, January 9th, 2023 is going to be your next episode of the RCWR show after WWE Raw goes off the air. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. I did ask you guys, what did you think about tonight's AEW Dynamite? Polling results here. Sharing it with y'all right now. Got a tie at 11%. See, half of you are staying in the middle, the other half giving it a thumbs down. 77% of you gave tonight's Dynamite a thumbs up. Meanwhile, YouTube, I'm seeing 17% of you are giving Dynamite a thumbs down. 83% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. By the way, shout out to those of you that's been subscribing, not just to the YouTube channel. A lot more engagement that's been going down, even on Twitter. Definitely to Facebook. You guys just continue to show the love on Facebook. I'm enjoying, I've scaled down a lot on my social media usage because, one, it's been hurting my eyes. Mentally, health-wise, I've gone through anxiety and a few other things, so I've scaled back, and it's been refreshing. My eyes definitely feel a lot better. Mentally, I feel a lot better. So now I'm just keeping it to, okay, just your Twitter, your Facebook. Occasionally check out, if the YouTube comments, and just to now manage just those three things, whereas before, my God, I was almost managing 20 different things. So as you would imagine, yeah, you probably are going to get some type of anxiety at some point. So it feels good. But yeah, ever since I've been focusing just more on just the Twitter page, the Facebook page, and the YouTube page, like you guys have been representing, you've been showing up a lot more. Interacting and engagements and all that. Let's keep it rocking and rolling in 2023. Yeah, let's keep it rocking and rolling. That is going to do it. Unless you have other plans, I'm wishing you guys to enjoy the rest of your week, particularly your weekend. I want y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. And I will see you guys next go around. Take care, y'all. Peace.